Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the UCL School of Pharmacy's Open Day for the MPharm Pharmacy and MPharm with Integrated Foundation Training Programs. My name is Nadia Bukhari. I'm Associate Professor in the Department of Practice and Policy. I am a UK registered practicing pharmacist, as well as the Head of Admissions for the UCL School of Pharmacy. So I will be going through the presentation today. We do welcome your questions. We'd like you to ask us questions. So if there's anything, during the presentation that you feel, you'd like more information on or ask further questions on, please do use the chat box. So what we're going to cover today, as an introduction to our school, to the School of Pharmacy, why choose pharmacy as a degree, and why in particular choose the UCL School of Pharmacy, and talking a little bit more about the profession and what the future holds for you and for pharmacy. So we're very proud of our institution. We were created in 1842 as the School of Pharmacy of the Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain. So we weren't just a university, we were also the professional body and the regulatory body for the profession as the Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain. And we've been supporting the profession for over 180 years. We are located in a very attractive part of central London in Russell Square and whole Bloomsbury, and you're close to many amenities as well as restaurants, entertainment outlets. So there's a lot to do. We're right in the heart of central London. In 2012, we became part of the University College London, which we're very proud of, and we're currently ranked third in the world by the QS ranking for pharmacy and pharmacology, and that's in 2025, and fourth in the Shanghai ranking for pharmacy and pharmaceutical science, and that was back in 2024. Our aim at the UCL School of Pharmacy is to be a positive force for change in pharmaceutical healthcare provision via the generation of successful and well-rounded graduates, the dissemination of impactful research of the highest quality, and the promotion of professional pharmaceutical engagement, both nationally and internationally. And I think the sort of key phrase really in our mission is the well-rounded graduates. Academic capability is something that we really pride on. However, we also want our graduates to have the knowledge, skills, and the behaviors so that they are ready to be in the workforce. So why study pharmacy? Now, pharmacists are the experts in medicines, and that's what sets us apart from other healthcare professionals. No other healthcare professional have that level of expertise in medicines as pharmacists do. And we play a vital role in society as healthcare professionals. Being the experts in medicines, we have a concern also for patient well-being and safety. And this includes the discovery of new drugs, the understanding of how drugs interact with the body, the manufacture of medicines, the safe administration and management of medicines, and providing advice to other healthcare professionals. And all of these elements that I've just mentioned are covered within our MPharm curriculum. You also have a wide range of career choices, and I'll be touching on that in later slides to give you an idea of how diverse the pharmacy profession exactly is. Studying pharmacy in the UK is a 4-year full-time degree programme. And this integrates pharmaceutical science into the practice of clinical pharmacy. And we are accredited by our regulatory body, the General Pharmaceutical Council. Once you've completed your 4-year MPharm degree at the university, you are then awarded with an MPharm. You then have to, if you want to be a registered UK pharmacist, do a 1-year post-graduation training called the Foundation Training Year, which is a 52-week training program in practice. So it has to be either in hospital practice, community practice, or it can be a mixture. So we have some placements that are, half hospital, half community, half hospital, half general practice. So GP practice is also an area, half community, half pharmaceutical industry. So there are many, many options, but you have to do at least half of your training has to be patient facing. And then following that 1 year of training, you have to sit something called the registration assessment, which is set by the General Pharmaceutical Council. And once you sit that registration examination and you pass it successfully, you are then registered as a pharmacist in the UK, ready to practice. The only catch is that registration assessment, you only get 3 attempts at it. If you're applying for the MPharm degree with integrated foundation training, so rather than doing the 4-year, having your degree and then doing your training outside of the university, the training will actually be integrated into the curriculum as a 5-year program. And this is aimed only at international students. So if you're not an international student, this course, you won't be eligible to apply for this course. And this is really for students who want to complete the pharmacy degree and UK foundation training whilst maintaining their student status. So why School of Pharmacy? I mean, I've already touched on our history, but our intention really is to produce graduates who have the skills, the confidence, that behaviors and attitudes, as I was saying, and the experience to take on leading roles within and beyond the profession. UCL overall is one of the world's great universities, while the School of Pharmacy is one of the most famous and well-regarded schools of pharmacies in the world. You have the opportunity, as I just mentioned, to undertake either the 4-year or the 5-year MPharm program. And I must again emphasize, for the 5-year program, this is only available to overseas applicants. We provide high quality education and experiential learning, and I'll speak about experiential learning shortly, support and professional development, and we are a springboard to a successful and fulfilling career. And we're very proud of the opportunities and support that we provide our students, which include cutting-edge education using a range of learning techniques, because we understand that people learn in different ways. So I'm pretty much a visual learner. So I like to watch a video, for example. Once I've sort of read something, I'd like to watch a video in order to sort of deepen my understanding. So taking that into consideration and having students come from all various backgrounds, we use a range of learning techniques so people can actually understand the course and the elements. We have a leading research environment, so it's not all about teaching at the School of Pharmacy. We have a very, very strong research environment here. So if that's something that you're interested in, we have, industry experts, global research experts as well here at the UCL School of Pharmacy, who are doing some groundbreaking research activities. You have the opportunity to study abroad, which I will speak about again shortly. And we have outstanding well-being and student support. And this is something that we really do put a lot of emphasis and focus on. We understand that, when it comes to the transition from school, college, into university, it can be quite daunting. And sometimes for some students, it's the first time that they've been away from home. So we really do put a lot of emphasis on mental health and mental well-being for our students. You'll have access to both the UCL School of Pharmacy Student Union, so at the school, as well as the wider UCL Students Union. And I think if I remember correctly, there's over, I think, 250 societies. There's literally a society for everything, from sort of religious societies to cultural societies to dance, different genres of music. So there's really something for everybody. We have careers advice and lots of opportunities as well for our students. So UCL, the main UCL campus, they have a very robust careers service. But in-house at the UCL School of Pharmacy, we have a very bespoke career service for pharmacy undergraduates. And this sort of starts all the way from year 1 right through to year 4. We also, in your 3rd year of study, we offer a lot of support for you to for your applications for foundation training year. And you know, I'm very proud to say for the past, I think, 8 years now running, we have had 100% employability for our students who have wanted to go on to do foundation training. Of course, there's that reputational benefit from studying at a world-leading school of pharmacy, as I have already mentioned to you. Let's take a quick look, a very, very quick look at our curriculum. So this is what it looks like, the 4-year MPharm, and you can see at the top, once you've done the 4-year of the MPharm, then you go off on your 5th year to do the integrated foundation training for the overseas students who will be applying for the 5-year integrated program. If you're not applying for the integrated program and you're a home student, after your 4 years, you will then move on to do your foundation training. Now, we have something called a spiral curriculum and an integrated curriculum, which a spiral curriculum basically means, just like a spiral, the complexity increases as you move along the years. Integration, because we have 4 key components, 4 key subjects in pharmacy. That's pharmacology, pharmacy practice, chemistry, and pharmaceutics. And all 4 of these subjects are integrated, and we put the patient at the center of it. In the 1st year, you can see there's not much integration going on there. The subjects are all separate, and we've done that intentionally. As I said before, we appreciate that students have come from various backgrounds with various qualifications. So we want to get everybody on the same level in the 1st year. So the 1st year really is about setting the foundations, introducing new concepts, getting everybody onto the same level. And then from 2nd year right through to 4th year, that's when the integration really kicks in and the complexity starts increasing. So I'm going to give you an example of what I exactly mean by integration by using aspirin as an example. And I'm sure you've all heard of aspirin. I'm going to go through how the various sort of subjects that we teach, how that would feed into one drug. So if we looked at the pharmacology and physiology of aspirin, we're then looking at the actions of aspirin. How does it work? So aspirin's an analgesic, which means it's a painkiller. It's an antipyretic, which means it reduces temperature. It's an anti-inflammatory, which reduces inflammation, but also at small doses, it's an antiplatelet. So you'd be looking at the actions of the drug. In biochemistry, you'd be looking at the mechanism, exactly how the drug is working, how it's metabolized, so how it's broken down before it can leave the body, and then looking at the side effects of the drug. Pharmacokinetics and drug delivery is a subject that is specific only to the pharmacy curriculum. So if you're studying to be a pharmacist, you will be studying pharmacokinetics. And in pharmacokinetics, you look at how drugs are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted in the body. Therapeutics, that's one of my subjects that I teach. Here you're really looking at the uses, the various uses of the medicine, its side effects, its drug interactions. What I mean by drug interactions is when you're giving more than one drug to a patient. So for example, if you're giving aspirin with, say, warfarin, which is an anticoagulant drug, would there be any adverse effects in the patient? Is there anything you need to look out for? Is there anything you need to be monitoring in the patient? Do you need to reduce the dose? And looking at different patient groups as well. What dose would you give if the patient was pregnant? If the patient was breastfeeding, can you even give it to a pregnant patient? Do you need to reduce the dose if the patient's got any kidney problems or if they've got any liver problems? Then pharmacy practice, law and ethics, again, another subject that I teach on, where you're looking at the preparations and the uses of a particular drug over the counter when you walk into a pharmacy and buy something over the counter versus when you're having it prescribed on a prescription. So what is the legality around that, and what are the limitations of sale of a particular drug? Pharmaceutical chemistry. So I'm sure you're all aware, to study pharmacy, chemistry as a subject is an absolute must, because chemistry really is the basis and foundation for pharmacy and for drugs. So here you'd be looking at the structure and analysis of a particular medicine or drug, its synthesis and its properties. So depending on what sort of groups are attached to it, you can then start predicting side effects. Pharmaceutics and formulation, again, a subject which is taught only on the pharmacy undergraduate curriculum, where you're looking at the preparation of medicines. So making tablets, making capsules, simple linctus solutions, etc., etc. And these kind of practicals you will be doing in the MPharm course at the School of Pharmacy. So our third floor pharmaceutics lab, you will be doing things like tableting and making capsules. And finally, pharmacognosy and phytotherapy, where you're looking at natural products. So for example, aspirin, and that derived many, many years ago in the 18th century from the willow bark. And it found to have these anti-inflammatory properties, and then it was further synthesized into aspirin. So pharmacognosy is really looking at how natural products have medicinal value. So how will you learn? As I've said before, we use a variety of learning techniques to sort of match the wide variety, the wide cohorts that we have. So we'll have a mixture of lectures and practical classes. So your lectures are more, if they're 50 minutes long, you'll have a lecturer in a lecture theatre going through the slides. So it's pretty much like a lesson, but at a more larger scale. So on average, we have about 200 students in a year group. So all 200 people would be in the lecture theatre, whilst the lecturer or professor is teaching on a particular subject area. To complement the lectures, there will be workshops, there will be problem-based learning type scenarios, case studies, practical classes, and these elements, and they're more smaller groups. So for pharmacy practice, for example, we have 24 in a class. So it's more focused, where you will be able to put your theory into practice and into case studies. There will be assignments, and there's quite a lot of self-directed learning. So that transition from school, college to university, it's a journey to develop you into adult learners. So being self-motivated, having that self-directed learning is something that we are going to sort of build in right from the first year. We use a range of e-learning techniques as well. Everybody is quite tech savvy nowadays. So we have our e-learning platform, which we use, which is Moodle. So on there, we'll put quizzes, we might put multiple choice, we might put some assignments on there for you to do. And we also like to mirror that with giving you experience of the working world. So there'll be a lot of experiential learning. So that's what that exactly means, that term, experiential learning, working by, gaining experience and putting that theory into practice. And in the next slide, I'll be giving some more detail on that. We like giving global perspective. So it's not just about what's happening in pharmacy practice in the UK. It's very important for us as healthcare professionals to know what is going on around in the world and sharing that knowledge and the good practice that is happening as well. So our lecturers are all involved in various projects globally. My affiliation is with my country of heritage, Pakistan. I do a lot of work within the pharmacy domain in Pakistan, and I bring that into my teaching. So and we have various lecturers and professors who do the same. Students are taught by world-leading experts in their fields, researchers, those who are, doing groundbreaking research, as well as who have been an expert within their domain of pharmacy for quite some time. So you're very, very lucky that, and we're very lucky. I'm very lucky that my colleagues are all world-leading experts. So a little bit more detail about experiential learning. So right from the start, in first year, you will be exposed to patients in real time. We have a great partnership with Greenlight Pharmacy, not too far from the UCL School of Pharmacy in Euston, where you'll have experience of community practice. There's hospital placements, community placements, GP surgery visits, visits to the pharmaceutical industry, and patient contact opportunities. And these are peppered throughout the 4-year MPharm. There's a strong emphasis from the General Pharmaceutical Council on having more patient contact. And as of last year, we have doubled our experiential learning portfolio within the MPharm curriculum. So you will be seeing real patients in real time, and you'll be practicing the things that you are doing in workshops, in lectures with respect to communication skills, consultation skills. You'll be conducting that in practice. In your final year, in the 4th year of the MPharm, the first semester, you have to carry out a research project. Now, you have a choice whether you want to conduct that research project here at the School of Pharmacy, or if you want to actually conduct that abroad. If you conduct it here at the School of Pharmacy, again, those 4 domains which I mentioned: pharmacy practice, pharmaceutics, pharmacology, and chemistry. So you choose your sort of domain in which you would like to do your project, and then you get assigned a tutor or professor who will then be supervising you. If you wish to study abroad to do this, it is a 3-month research project, and you can then apply for this process to do this at one of our partner universities overseas. There are many destinations: European universities, USA, Canada, China, Thailand, Singapore, Australia. We also have had in the past students actually organize their own project with another university. So I've had a student in the past, I'd say about 5-6 years ago, who actually wanted to do it in Pakistan. But once you've actually sorted it out, we have to do our due diligence to ensure that it's a reputable institution, and the supervisor will be able to supervise you according to UCL standards. It's open to application for all final year students. We do expect you to be academically sound, so you must be on a 2-1 average. And once you do apply, we also invite you for a short interview to ensure that you are ready to study abroad. So, just to make sure that you are sort of mentally ready, as well as academically ready to study abroad, away from family, away from friends. So I spoke about within our mission statement about the concept of being, the well-rounded student. So I'm going to just give a little bit more detail on the concept of roundedness. And we place a huge emphasis on personal development at the UCL School of Pharmacy. So we really encourage students to be involved in volunteering activities, sports activities. We really encourage you to join societies. We have well-being champions available who are specially trained staff who are available here at the UCL School of Pharmacy if you need any kind of support. We have a debating club. We run Wellbeing Week in collaboration with the Students' Union. And we also have something called Fight the Fakes, which is a government-led initiative to fight fake medicines. Counterfeit medicines and substandard medicines is a huge public health issue, and our students really get involved in campaigning for fighting the fakes. And we have one of our associate professors here, Oksana Pizik, who actually runs that. And last year, she took a group of students to WHO headquarters in Geneva as well, where they presented, some posters with respect to fighting the fakes. So there's a lot of activities that you can get involved with, but no one's going to hold your hand. It's up to you. You have to be self-motivated to sort of join in on this. It's all available to you. It's all down to an individual and how involved you want to be. So there is support for you at every step of your UCL journey. We offer a range of well-being, mental health, and disability support services, which are designed to help you thrive both academically and personally. Life happens, and we absolutely understand that. And that's why we are here for you. And, I'm really sort of pleased to say, not just at a student level, but also at a staff level, UCL really are there for supporting the well-being. Our trained staff provide a safe, non-judgmental environment where you can talk openly about any challenges that you are facing. You can have same-day appointments with student advisors, so you can access the support you need when you need it. When you come in your first year, you will all be assigned an academic tutor, and that academic tutor will be your tutor then throughout the 4 years of your MPharm. Pharmacy students benefit from dedicated faculty student wellbeing officers who offer personalized advice and help with applying for reasonable adjustments. And we're here to listen. We're here to guide you. We're here to support you. And we really want you to do the best and be the best that you can be and help you adjust into university life. So talking a little bit about what the future holds for pharmacy and for you. Now, typically about 70% of the profession goes into community pharmacy, 25% into hospital pharmacy, and about 5% into industry and academia. And these are sort of the core main roles, but the roles of the pharmacist are changing rapidly, and we prepare our students accordingly. And pharmacy really is a diverse profession. We have our alumni who are working in GP practices, they're working in clinics, they are in research, they're regulatory affairs, the financial sector, the armed forces, the prison services. We've had pharmacists who have, after their pharmacy degree, have gone on to do a law degree and are specializing in pharmacy law, for example. And even some have gone into the diplomatic service. So there's a lot you can do with your MPharm degree. Good news from 2026, all UK pharmacists will be able to independently prescribe medicines and treatment for minor illnesses. With appropriate GPHC accredited training, pharmacists may prescribe any medicine within their competency. Now, the skills, the knowledge and attributes needed to do this are now part of the MPharm program. So we have integrated all of this within our MPharm curriculum. So once you've done your MPharm degree, and once you successfully completed your foundation training and passed that foundation registration assessment, not only will you be a UK registered pharmacist, but you'll be a UK registered prescribing pharmacist. So our curriculum ensures that you are readily prepared for that, and it's all integrated. So, for example, you might want to be a care home pharmacist, so you might be prescribing within a care home. If you want to be an intensive care unit pharmacist, you'll be prescribing things like antibiotics, sedatives, and pain treatment. GP practice pharmacist. Now, this is a sector within pharmacy which is rapidly evolving and rapidly growing. Right now, there's currently a training program for 1,500 pharmacists to work in GP surgeries. But like I said, this is expanding as we speak, and it's proven to be a very, very popular sector for pharmacists to go into. And GP pharmacists provide help to manage long-term conditions. They advise those taking multiple medicines, polypharmacy, and delivering clinical advice regarding treatments and communication across a patient's care pathway. So currently, right now, I can give you an example of my GP surgery. There is a resident pharmacist there who runs her own clinic and takes the patients from the GPs. So she has her own clinic and she does a lot of re-prescribing. She does medicines reconciliation. So basically managing long-term conditions and looking at patients who are taking many medicines and to see which ones might not need to be prescribed anymore, for example. So it's a very rewarding sector within the pharmacy profession. Now, we as pharmacists are uniquely positioned to manage the use of gene therapies, cell-based therapies, regenerative medicine, and personalized medicine. All four of these sort of key areas are being researched here at the UCL School of Pharmacy. Dr. Atiya Hasnain, a colleague of mine, she's a quality assurance officer in charge of gene therapies at Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is literally a stone throw away here from the UCL School of Pharmacy. So at School of Pharmacy, we provide you with the education and personal development opportunities for you to achieve your career goals. There's a huge range of exciting options available for you within the pharmacy profession, and it really is up to you for those of you who are willing to take them up. So that really is the end of my presentation. I'm wishing you the very best of luck for whatever you choose. If you have any questions, we'd like to answer them within the chat box, or if you want to unmute yourself, we're more than happy to answer your questions live as well. And please do let us know what you thought of this session. Thank you.
Nadia, we have a question from Vanessa in the chat that I'm hoping you may be able to answer. So the question is, once we are a UK registered prescribing pharmacist, does our qualification apply in other countries, such as in East Asian countries, the US or Canada?
Okay, that's a really good question. So if you have plans to move abroad, for example, and we've had many of these cases in the past where students have got married and their partner is overseas, you will have to find out from that particular country because it varies. So for example, I know for Canada, you have to sit a set of examinations. So it's not easily transferable. Same with the US. And I think with the US, it depends on which state you're going to be going to. So each state has its own regulations. So if you have that trajectory that you may be moving overseas, then it's good to find out now what you need to do exactly in order to work as a pharmacist in that country. Have any others?
There is another one here, Nadia. Are extracurriculars looked at on your pharmacy personal statements? Are they really considered?
Okay, another very good question. It's good to have extracurricular activities because you gain a lot of exposure from extracurricular activities. Our admissions process is a values-based recruitment admissions process. So we're looking, you know, the entry requirements that we have, the UCAS entry requirements, that for us sort of gives us an indication of your academic capability. But once you've sort of passed that stage and you come here for interview and for the test, our admissions process is solely values-based. So we're looking at whether you have those skills, the behaviors that we would expect from a pharmacy undergraduate and a professional pharmacist. So having extracurricular activities, that sort of instills a lot of transferable skills like timekeeping, for example, team working, you can bring all of those elements then into the values-based exercises that you'll be sort of facing in the admissions process.
Thanks, Nadia. A related question here in the chat. Does UCL require work experience for the MPharm?
When you say work experience, do you mean pharmacy specific or just any work experience? If you could clarify that. I mean, I can give a general answer here. We don't require work experience for the MPharm, but if you have any sort of work experience, especially within the pharmacy domain, it does show your sort of your passion for the profession, if you like. But it's not a requirement. Do you consider? We've got any other questions, Sam? I mean, I'm trying to go through to. Okay. I think most of you have answered them in the chat, which is very, very efficient.
I think Ruth has her hand up to ask a question.
Yep, please go ahead, Ruth.
Hi, I just wanted to know what the entry requirements for pharmacy would be. Like, do you take any, do you take BTech Applied Science, level 3?
I'm going to hand that over to Priya or Sam, please, to answer.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the BTEC is not applicable for entry onto the MPharm program.
Is it just for your university, I guess?
Unfortunately, I can't comment on whether that's the case for other universities. The information should be quite readily available on web pages for other universities, but they usually have an email address that you can use to contact them as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a question here that says any interview for UCL pharmacy. So yes, there is an interview. We have a two-step admissions process. The first process is an online test, values-based recruitment test. And then based on how well you've done in that, you then get invited for interview. I'll leave it there. I don't think there's any more questions. Have I missed anything? Ian, Sam, Priya?
There is a question here in the chat asking how practical based is the course?
As I mentioned, experiential learning is peppered throughout the curriculum. And that's a requirement from the General Pharmaceutical Council, especially as once you've completed your foundation training and passed your registration assessment, you will be an independent prescriber. So there is a lot of clinical elements within that, because we need to ensure that you are ready for practice, prepared for practice, as we say. So we've got a question here, Sam, Priya, if you wouldn't mind answering. Is A-level biology essential for entry into the MPharm program?
So A-level biology, so chemistry is a must, and you can have either biology, maths, or physics.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for adding that also, Dr. Malkinson, for how practical based is the course. Yes, there are a lot of lab classes too, but let's not forget lots of lab classes, as I mentioned, with respect to chemistry and pharmaceutics. Yes, you can work, as I've got a question here, can I work at a pharmaceutical research company after my MPharm degree, since I'm interested in synthesizing medicines? Absolutely, you absolutely can work at a pharmaceutical research company after your MPharm degree. You will have the necessary skills and knowledge to do that. Sam and Priya, there are some specific questions in the chat box with respect to conditional offers and IB entry requirements.
Sorry, bear with me, just trying to find those in the chat.
If I read one out to you, if my conditional offer is AAB, but I receive ABB, do I lose the offer or will I still be accepted?
Okay, so if you're made an offer based on meeting the A-level grade requirements, but you don't quite meet it, then it will depend on once results are released. It may be possible that there will be places on the course, but as it's normally quite oversubscribed and very popular, it's fairly unlikely, and that hasn't been the case in recent years.
And there's another question here. What are the entry requirements for the IB program?
I can pop those entry requirements into the chat now, but they are also available on the prospective students webpage, UCL webpage.
Someone's written here they're interested in medicine and MPharm, how to connect both in one personal statement. Priya, did you want to say anything on that?
Me?
Yep.
I guess it really depends. I mean, I think with the pharmacy program, we are looking for somebody who is interested in pharmacy at the moment. Like Sam mentioned, we are quite oversubscribed, and we have been for the last couple of years. So unfortunately, where a personal statement is not pharmacy focused entirely, it's very unlikely that it will be considered. Obviously, it's down to how it's written, of course. I mean, if you are interested in multiple programs, yeah, I guess it just depends on how you write, but really we're looking for a very pharmacy focused personal statement.
Thank you for that. A question here, what would be the best way to show my interest in chemistry stroke pharmacy? Really have a think about what's motivating you to study pharmacy, and think about what's making you passionate about wanting to study pharmacy. If you've done some work experience, say for example in a pharmacy, you can bring those examples in into your statement. That would be that would really help create a more sort of interesting statement, if you like. Got any more? I don't think there's any more questions. I think we've answered. Ian, I don't think I've left anything off.
We've just had one from Shivani. Are there also tutorial sessions as part of the
Just seen
teaching,
that.
or any opportunity to learn in smaller groups?
Yes, Shivani, I did cover that in the presentation. I'm sorry if you missed that. We do have smaller tutorials, workshops, case integrated workshops where, so for example, our pharmacy practice tutorials, we have 24 in a class, up to 24 to 26 in a class. So they're smaller groups, it's more focused, where you'll be sort of tackling sort of problem-based type learning or case studies with a tutor.
Couple more coming in. Is it possible for students to book slots to use the labs for themselves?
I think if Dr. Malkinson is around, he'd be the best person to answer that, because there's another one as well here with respect to showing interest in chemistry. Would essay competitions be a good way of showing their interest? John, if you're around.
Yeah, I was just typing an answer to the one about the labs. No, we wouldn't. Nobody can use labs on their own or book slots to do so without adequate supervision because of safety considerations. So that isn't something that would be possible. You may work in a lab as part of your research project, but not independently, and that goes for everybody, including staff. And with regards to showing your knowledge, understanding of chemistry, it's like anything. We have a few questions about personal statements. Personal statements are there for you to showcase things about you. So if there are things that you've done, experience you have, knowledge that you have, or any kind of experience that you've gained, then that's an excellent opportunity for you to showcase that. It's not possible to give people guidance on how to write a personal statement because by definition it is personal to the individual, but things that do show your broader interest and how it can be applied to what you're interested in studying, then obviously that is something to try to prioritize and to make prominent in your personal statement.
Thank you, Dr. Malkinson. There's a question. Oh, I did get a question here. Is it only shortlist candidates who have a chance to take the test? So the initial screening, once you sort of apply through UCAS, the initial screening is done by UCL Central Admissions. So as long as you meet our entry requirements, you then come through to do the test. So if you meet the entry requirements and you satisfy that aspect, then you are invited for test. Do we have any more questions?
There's a question here in the chat about the test. So just to answer that, it's normally when would an applicant receive notification of the test? And this can be between normally November and March.
If you're predicted 3Bs and qualify for Access UCL, are you still considered?
Yes, that's correct. You will still be considered as long as you are definitely eligible for the Access UCL offer.
For those asking what kind of test it is, Sam, would you mind just putting a link in the chat box with respect to the admissions process? That would be really helpful. Thank you so much. So we've got a great question here. What do students generally think is the best part of studying pharmacy? So I'm going to ask our student ambassadors if they wouldn't mind answering that question.
Yeah, Afif, do you want to start or would you like me to?
Oh yeah, I wrote my answer in the chat, so you can give your experience.
Okay, with pharmacy, like Nadia said at the beginning, I like about it that it makes you a very well-rounded student, and I realized that as I went through the years. So I'm currently a third year.
there's your lectures, and then they're obviously accompanied by workshops and by placements, and they take you on placements all over London. So you get to experience different socioeconomic places and different ways of dealing with people, which makes you a great pharmacist. There's excessive support from all our lecturers and our professors, and they're always there to help, even if you want to take it like beyond your curriculum. I've had so many great conversations with my lecturers about topics that are not even in curriculum, and that helped me like expand my horizon and know what I wanted from pharmacy. In addition to that, UCL in general has a lot of student activities, and I've made my bestest friends from these activities and the societies I've joined, and kept me close to my culture, for example. So that was really nice, especially when you're living away from family, you want something to link to. So yeah, I would say that overall made me a very well-rounded student. So that's what I enjoyed.
Okay, thank you for that. Just seeing if there's any others that we've missed.
Nadia, there's a question about what happens if you fail the registration assessment after 3 tries?
Unfortunately, then you cannot register as a pharmacist in the UK, but your MPharm degree is still intact, and there's plenty that you can do with a Master's of Pharmacy degree, because it is a science-based degree. So you can go into research, you might want to do a PhD, for example, you might want to go into academia. So we don't get many of those cases, thankfully. But, you know, if you're asking for the worst case scenario, then, you know, I'm presenting that to you. But, you know, we've really not really come across that, have we, Dr. Melkinson? Ian, please do let me know if we've not missed it. We've answered all the questions, or if we've missed anything.
Maybe one, I don't know if we've tackled about the best advice for the interview, any interview tips, including maybe from our students, whether they have any tips for the interview.
I think Afif has put a really good answer down there, and I think I'm going to read it out. So you should have a passion for pharmacy. Think about holistic approach as a pharmacist when delivering care to patients or working alongside other healthcare professionals, and good critical thinking or problem-solving skills. So as I mentioned previously, we are a values-based recruitment. Our admissions process is a values-based recruitment process. So we'll be looking at those skills and those behaviours, the NHS values. So, you know, caring, compassionate conduct, for example, having empathy, etc., etc., and of course, good communication skills. Do math skills get tested in interview? Not at interview, but at test. So when you once you've sort of met our the entry requirements, and we invite you for test, the test comprises of a maths element, a literacy element, and a values-based recruitment element. Okay, but all that information has already been put in the chat box, so please do access that link. Ian, I think you can answer this question. Will this chat box also be available on your website?
I don't think the chat will be. It will just be the video that's available. So you might find that you can download the chat yourself. Just having a look. Yeah, I'm not sure, but no, the chat won't be available. So you might take screenshots of any of the answers that are particularly relevant to you.
Thank you, Ian.
Also, if anyone has any questions that haven't been answered today, think of anything later on, you can always contact us directly. Our email address is sop.admissions, so sop.admissions@ucl.ac.uk.
Someone's asked roughly when is the entry test? I think Sam answered this previously. Our entry tests are sort of, they begin from November right through to March. So we have a variety of days, and invites get sent out accordingly between November and March. Are there any practice questions before the entry test? There are no practice questions because as I've mentioned, and I can't emphasize this enough, and I think Dr. Malkinson has also put it in the chat box, this is a values-based recruitment admissions process. So we're looking at the values that you have. So you can't really revise for that. The maths questions, somebody's already asked in the chat box as well, it's paced at GCSE level. So there won't be any differentiation, integration, sine, cos, tan. It will be simple pharmaceutical calculations, which is sort of paced at GCSE level.
There's just a question in the chat about whether you can apply for both the 4-year and 5-year MPharm program. It's not recommended because you'll just be basically wasting one of your options. If you're an international student and keen to apply for the integrated foundation year training, you would be suggested to just apply for one of them. If you do end up applying for both, you'll only be made an offer for one if you are eligible for an offer. Yeah.
Thank you, Priya. Ian, I think we've answered all the questions. I've just gone through. Oh, got another one. Sorry, I didn't quite catch what the entry exam is. So, Simon, what we will do is we'll put the link again in the chat box, Sam, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you so much. With respect to the entry requirement, the whole admissions process for UCL School of Pharmacy, which gives the breakdown of everything. So you've got it there in writing. Thanks, Sam. Hey, Ian, I think we've answered all our questions, hopefully. And thank you, Vanessa, for your feedback.